are. Good afternoon. Today is May 12th, and the time is 1:31. Yep, you got me. We're calling the Workforce Education, Training, and Youth Development Committee to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll? Here.
Here.
That is great. This is a great opportunity for us to have a discussion about the Department of Human Resources and Civil Service Commission. Will provide an overview of the functions of their offices and discuss their hiring process and timelines for various positions. We will have them come to the table. They will go through the presentations, and I will ask colleagues and council members, hold your questions until they finish the completion of their actual presentation. And from those presentations, we will be able to ask questions, get discussions, and through that time, I will give council members 10 minutes to be able to ask questions. Also, please, like I reiterate, let them complete the presentation because some of your questions might come from the presentation so we can get through this and find a best career path to understand exactly the difference between the two departments. And I think this is insightful as well as an opportunity to make sure workforce is a top priority. So I definitely will be remiss. I would like to call the Civil Service Commission. No. Is the, Madam Clerk, is all of one presentation all together? So we'll both the directors come to the table then. That'd be good. HR as well as Civil Service Commission. Yeah, I think that would be easier. Good afternoon, and as we get to the table, for the viewing public and obviously for the members of council, it would be great if we do an introduction and roles and departments so all of us are aligned with who are here today at the table. Here's the green. There you go. Green, yep. All right, introductions?
I guess I'll start.
Okay.
Lila Abrams Fitzpatrick, Civil Service Commission's Business and Operations Manager.
Rashawn Long, Director of Civil Service.
Good afternoon, Matt Cole, Director of Human Resources.
Beverly Johnson, Human Resources Business and Operations Manager. And through the chair, HR Business and Operations Manager.
All right, so we do have a presentation. And
Through the chair, if we could just take a minute to recognize our staff members.
yes, I see y'all came deep today. That's what I'm talking about, people that do the work.
My name is Michael Plickinger. I'm the Vice Chair of the Civil Service Commission, and I'm supported by this great staff. I value this position to serve the public, the employees of the city of Cleveland. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, what's your name again?
Michael,
Michael Plickinger.
Nice to
Chief.
meet you, Michael Flickinger.
Afternoon, I am Leanne Houston. I'm the Program Director in Civil Service.
thank you.
Monique Young, Department of Human Resources and Employee Relations Manager.
Anthony Hinton, Civil Service Examiner Supervisor.
Ed Morales, Assistant Director of Human Resources.
Alden, HR Research and Development Specialist.
Deborah Daniel, Recruiting and Development Manager.
Christopher Smith, Civil Service Examiner 3.
Shanine Scott Chapman, Assistant Administrator. Patrice Harris, Civil Service Receptionist.
And who's next to you again?
Shanine Scott Chapman.
Okay.
Denise Chapman.
Shanine Scott Chapman.
Will they all be able to come to the table?
We
at some point?
gonna get to that, Councilman Joe John. I got you. Next.
Tamika Johnson Tanner, Assistant Admin.
So we
Good
can get the
afternoon,
truth.
everyone. Denise Sims, Examiner 3.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Natalie
We're
Thompson,
trying to get the
Project
truth
Coordinator, Civil
for our
Service.
people.
All right, and I see we did an introduction. I do have some new staff in my office. Can you introduce yourselves as well?
Hello, everyone. My name is Amaya Combo.
Hello, I'm Kyle Owens.
Hi, guys, I'm Lauren Smith. Hi, guys, I'm Trey Gray. Hi, my name is Abby. I'm an intern for Board 12.
Yep, right. So those are some interns we got working in our offices this summer. So they're learning some of the work that we do, and they're in college. So if there's some career opportunities, they may be applying one day. So definitely, I think I would definitely open it up to the committee to go through the presentation, have any discussions. Like I said, I reiterate, colleagues, write your questions down, and we'll talk about it after the presentations. I believe that is the best way to help us. All right.
Good morning. So we're going to start off with human resources. Human resources focuses on managing the employee's life cycle once a candidate is selected, including onboarding, payroll, benefit administration, employee relations, and performance management. HR also supports departments in workforce planning, policy, implementation, and discipline, ensuring employees are effectively supported and aligned with the city's operational needs. The Civil Service Commission, Office of Civil Service Commission ensures fair and equitable hiring and promotional processes and administers and enforces policies and procedures to attract, hire, and promote qualified individuals who support efficient and effective services to establish a high-performing workforce. While the Office of Civil Service Commission and Human Resource have distinct responsibilities, both offices work collaboratively to support departments through a hiring and employment process. Civil Service primarily oversees fair and equitable recruitment, testing, candidate qualifications, and certified processes, while Human Resources focuses on onboarding, employee relations, labor relations, performance management, benefits, and discipline. Because of the unique structure of the City of Cleveland, many processes require coordination between both offices to ensure compliance, consistency, and operational efficiency. The Civil Service Commission consists of board members. We currently have 5 board members: President Jordan, Pastor Gregory Jordan, the Vice President Michael Flickinger, who you all met in the audience. Our secretary is India Lee, and our 2 regular board members are Cyrus Patton and Nicole Carlton. The Civil Service Commission also, you just met our staff, and again, I'll just go over the names briefly. We have Executive Director Rashawn Long, myself, Lila Abrams Fitzpatrick, our Chief Examiner Daryl Eatman, Recruiting Manager Derek McDaniel, Examiner Supervisor Anthony Hinton, our Project Coordinator is Leanne Guzman and Natalie Tumba. Our Assistant Administrators are Shanine Scott Chapman and Tamika Johnson Tanner, and our 2 examiners are Lanice Sims and Christopher Smith. Our key responsibilities: job analysis and exam development, recruitment and candidate qualifications, exam administration and scoring, eligible list establishment and certifications, oversight of hiring process, and administration and enforcement of civil service. Our primary objectives is to administer and enforce civil service rules to ensure fair hiring and employment standards, manage applications across all classified positions, administer exams, establish eligible lists, and certify candidates to fill vacancies. Continue streamlining the hiring process to reduce time to hire and improve efficiency while maintaining fair and equitable hiring standards. Review and update job classifications and minimum requirements to reflect current job duties, remove outdated titles and functions, oversee administrative hearings, and review employment actions such as discipline appeals. Our commission meetings as the governing body, the Civil Service Commission reviews and takes actions on the following matters to ensure compliance with civil service rules and the integrity of employment decisions. These reviews consist of routine matters, approval of bulletins, approval of eligible lists, classifications, creations, and amendments, appeals, fit for duties, reinstatements, and disciplinary actions. The Civil Service Commission holds 2 public meetings each month on the second and fourth Friday. These meetings are live and can be viewed on the Commission's YouTube live page. Building a talent pipeline. The Civil Service works to ensure the city has a steady pipeline of qualified candidates. Initiates testing when vacancies arise and eligible lists are nearing exhaustion. Aims to maintain and continue with pipelines to qualified candidates. Supports both immediate hiring needs and long-term workforce planning. Publish job bulletins and test announcements to the public. Expand outreach to attract diverse and qualified candidates. Transition applicants into certified eligible lists for hiring. Conducts job analysis to define duties and qualifications. Develop exams aligned to real job requirements, written, oral, and practical, and elevates candidates based on skills, knowledge, and abilities. Our recruitment center that is located in the basement of City Hall serves for internal and external candidates. They help with application support, guiding and assisting navigating the city's hiring processes. They help with resume development, so they tailor resumes aligned to city roles and minimum qualifications. Interview preparations, so they coach to build confidence and improve outcomes. Career navigations helps candidates identify pathways to public service. Strategic talent acquisition builds strong, diverse candidate pipelines. Job descriptions optimization aligns roles and skills based on hiring practices. Workforce partnership connecting departments and community and education partners. Hiring event coordinator, planning and executing targeted recruitment initiatives, and a pipeline development, creating sustainable talent pools for current and future needs. Recruitment and candidate qualifications build strong talent pipelines, delivering qualified candidates. How we attract talent? We attract talent through strategic outcomes by leveraging job boards, community networks, and targeting engagements to reach diverse talent pools. We communicate driven recruitment, meeting candidates where they are through partnerships, events, and workforce initiatives, and pipeline development. We create consistent long-term talent pools across key roles and departments. How we qualify candidates by structured candidate review, so evaluating applicants against clearly defined minimum qualifications. Efficient screening process, streamlining review pipelines to quickly identify qualified candidates. Standard alignments, ensuring all candidates meet civil service requirements and job-specific criteria, and quality over quantity. Delivering candidates who are prepared, capable, and ready to serve. Here you will see our hiring process and the 11 steps that we go through for hiring. So it starts at the department. So the department identifies a vacancy. Then they create a requisition post a vacancy position. The department requests, let me go back. Create a requisition for posting a vacant position. Then the department requests job postings through civil service. Next, civil service recruits the applicants and exam administrations. We next establish eligible lists, then certify those lists and refer the candidates. Those candidates are referred to the departments for review of applications and select of hire. Then they move the candidate to hire to create a hire packet. Next, between the department, HR, and civil service, all three levels approve those hires, so reviewing those hiring packets to make sure everything is in alignment for approval. And then now we'll have, after approval, there's a new employee. And then the employee moves on to HR for onboarding and employment. Modernization, classifications and compensations. Review and update for classification and minimum requirements to reflect current workforce needs, remove outdated titles, and update pay bands. This is some modernizations we are currently going through right now. We are looking right now into online testing for evaluating vendors to support a transition to online and hybrid testing, expanding access to remove travel and location barriers, and this will increase flexibility with more convenient test options. We also currently have job structures and career paths. So we have group classifications into job families to streamline the standardized roles, create clear tiered career paths to support advancement and retention, and aligns responsibilities and compensation with organizational needs. Some of our barriers is we misalign between departments' expectations, job requirements, and starting salaries. Competitive labor market salaries often exceed the city's current salary structure. Delay in department hiring timeline after eligible lists are certified. Excessive lags in departments' interviewing process. Continued requests to use individualized titles and past practices instead of standardized job families and streamlined career paths. The civil service rules and job analysis. Civil service established hiring and employment standards. We are currently conducting ongoing reviews to ensure updates reflect clear, modern, and easy to interpret language. And then you'll see over the last few years the rule amendments for those. And we have been working hard, as you can see, in 2026 to get some of those done. And then amend and create classifications through ongoing department analysis to align with current operations. And you will see the new and revised ones for the last few years on that. Our matrix appeals, fit for duties, and reinstatements. So over the last few years, you will see our appeals. Of course, for 2026, this is up to April of this year. So right now, we only have one termination, one suspension, and 5 psychs that has went through civil service. Our fit for duties, we have none for safety right now, but 3 for non-safety. And reinstatements for this year, safety positions, we have 3, and reinstatements on an eligible list for other positions, we also have 3. Employee labor relations, key responsibilities. Our EER, equal employment opportunities, complaint investigations, workplace and sexual harassment complaint investigations, disciplinary actions and correction action processes, our union employee grievance oversight, drug and alcohol program administration, coordination with departments, unions, and law, policy administration and interpretation, leave program, our FMLA, PPL, and sick donations, collective bargaining, and unemployment compensation. And here you will see the accountability for our compliance and workplace. So human resource strive to ensure employees are treated fairly and consistently, promptly address workplace concerns and complaints promptly, support compliance with federal, state, and local employment laws, maintain professional workplace standards, partner with departments to resolve employee and labor relations matters effectively. And again, here is some matrix for the last few years. And right now, as of April of 2026, we have 29 EEO complaints and 81 Step 3 grievances. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Let me take a deep breath.
Yes.
You know, breaking down the differences between two departments is never easy. I see that the confusion, well, I'll say from my standpoint, the difference between civil service and HR department is something that is key. And I see a lot of the work that civil service have to do compared to some of the work that HR has to do for the city of Cleveland is very important. One of the things that I would definitely ask from your presentation is, what is the average time to hire today from the vacancy identification to onboarding, and how does it compare to how it was, I believe you said in 23? So what is basically the average time to hire today?
Through the chair, the average time to hire fluctuates between 82 days and about 133 days. The delay, I would say, lies with the department, because once we certify names or we do a posting, like, it's up to the department to interview. So it just depends on how long their interview process takes and how many applicants they're interviewing, how many vacancies they have.
Thank you, Director. That is important. But then from that standpoint, which departments currently have the longest hiring delays? If we have any information, which department takes forever? Because if you said 82 days to 103 days and you set the candidate up, have the pool ready, it's just waiting on the department to do X, Y, and Z, who is taking the longest to hire?
We can get you that information, but it varies, because some of the positions, the lag is due to the salary. So I'm gonna just pick on MoCap.
Okay.
The positions they have there and what they're asking from those people, they can go outside of the city and get paid much more money than what we can offer. So it's been a struggle trying to find right candidates to fit the salary that they're able to offer for those candidates. So we would probably have to, I don't want to really pinpoint departments because it's different
It varies.
strategies that, yeah.
And I think from that standpoint, if you could possibly send over some information so we can look at department by department who have had vacancies, how long they've been vacant. Those things can be something that we like to discuss, because one of the things we hear from departments during budgeted time often is, manpower. And when you don't have employees or you don't have positions filled, and you're saying civil service, HR, civil service have done exams, got a hiring pool, and you saying, hey, from the layman terms that I got from Ms. Shelley Johnson from the Boys and Girls Club, HR, she said, hire these people. Don't be sending me over somebody, and I done got them ready. Get them hired. Get them to work. Fill these positions so we can get people out doing the work. So I definitely would like to look for that. And obviously it is case department by department. Obviously with some of the things that you outline, what is being asked for those people, those engineers and those type of positions in MOCAP. You have to have a special skill set, but also you must have individuals who are paid the right dollar. And when they see their position elsewhere, they might be here for 3 months, and then they said, I'm gonna take a leave. I ain't gonna name a couple people that I know that bounce. From that standpoint, do you have any list or information you could send regarding how many positions have been vacant for longer than 6 months or up to a year that has been vacant positions that are by department as well, so we can be able to figure that out? And I know I was gonna ask, which is like top positions that are the hardest to recruit for in the city of Cleveland right now. I kind of got an idea. It's one we haven't filled yet since I've been here, but I also know there's other positions that we can definitely talk to. But one thing that helped me that I definitely would ask is when I seen that 11 steps that you have outlined in the presentation, where it seemed as though what creates the biggest challenge within that steps, and have we been able to figure it out? Because when I look at it from the standpoint, you have the city department, they identify vacancy, then it moves on to creating a position or posting it. Then you got the department's request for the job posting through civil service, and then it goes back, because what I'm seeing is 3 departments: civil service, civil service, civil service. Then it go back to department, then it gets to HR, then it's new employment, then HR does a lot of the onboarding. Is there any way to streamline that? Because it seems as if it's a lot from a department, and then you got 3 steps within the department from the initial. Then you got civil service within 1, 2, 3 steps. Then it got the department doing another 2 things. Then it gets to HR. Then it goes through the new employment, then the onboarding. Is there anything we've looked at to examine or to assess this to see if this the best streamline for hiring, or is there some changes we can possibly explore to expedite some hiring?
Through the chair, previously, so the process is streamlined from what it used to be. Some of us, okay.
The dean ain't here today. He on vacation.
Yes. So there previously, just for the PR process, the requisition process alone had, I want to say, probably 6 steps to it. So we've reduced that to 3, which is OBM, which has to approve the funds for the position, human resources, and then civil service. So there's a 48-hour turnaround for a requisition to be approved to hire in your position. As for the actual hiring process, it's really not as cumbersome as it looks. You have your requisition approved. If we have an eligible list, then we refer names from the eligible list. If we have to test, then yes, there may be a delay in that because we will have to post an announcement to test. But quite honestly, the names are referred, and it's up to the department to interview the people. So let's use public utilities as an example. Customer service rep. There's a lot of turnover with the customer service reps because the pay band is low. Now, I know we just went through negotiations, so I'm assuming that probably was addressed. But, there's a lot of variables. So when you're interviewing in bulk that way, it takes time because based on our rules, you have to interview everyone. Everyone must be considered, and they must be considered in the same manner. So it just depends on the position, and it depends on where it is. The PAF process was initially, I want to say 6 signatures, and we've reduced that to 3, and it's electronic. So you think about the time to hire was probably almost 180 days. So it's greatly reduced already.
All right. I know we talked about fairness and equity within the presentation. Do we have any data for that regarding who've been hired, whether it's through race, gender, zip code, residency, things like that? Do we have any data breakdown that can be sent over and shared with the council regarding, the workforce diversity and equity component? And then, yep.
Through the chair, we provided that during budget
Yep.
hearings, but we can provide you an up-to-date report.
Yes.
You just want demographics.
Yep, just the demographics. And then also, I know, do you also have any information from, one of the things I look for is like, how do we hire more residents from the city of Cleveland into positions? Do we have any breakdown of that as well to make sure we know, where they live at, where they located, where they're from each department as well? That can be definitely helpful. And then my last question before I open it up to my colleagues, when it comes to vacancies and getting those positions filled and looking for individuals, you mentioned a pool of different candidates. So civil service does all the testing and creates a pool for people that are possibly eligible to hire. Right now, what is that actual pool of employees do we currently have? Do we have a total number in the pool as far as individuals who are ready to be hired, but we need the department to make the decision or things like that? Is that something that goes on? Or how does the pool actually work?
So I can't say a total number, so each classification may have a different list. We call them eligible lists that we have for those classifications. Those are the classifications that we test for. So one thing I can say, we do, after each commission member, we do send out to the departments what we call is a list of lists. So it's a list of all the classifications and how many names of candidates that are on those lists. So departments are able to see if we currently have a list for classifications before they determine, oh, we have a vacancy for this position, we want to put in a requisition. We work with the departments to make sure if it is a competitive classification that is not on that list, to inform us so we can get a test done for that, so we can always keep a list. We try to keep a list for all the classifications so that, because the list, when we establish them, they're good for 2 years. But we try to keep the list updated so whenever a department needs a classification, we have an active list there. According to the civil service rules, for every one vacancy, they get 10 names. So they get the top 10 on the list. They have to consider all 10 people. They can't just look at the list and point at number 4 and say, this is who I want. They have to interview and consider all 10 people for consideration for that position.
So is that like the 1 to 10 process?
Yes,
Okay. And that's for all departments?
that is. For any position that,
Civil.
yes, that's a civil service. Now, for our promotionals, for safety, theirs is a 1 in 3. But all other positions is 1 in 10.
Yeah, we get a safety when we get them to the table with you.
Yes.
I done learned and did some research. It ain't just necessarily civil service. You just get them ready, prepared to be hireable, and it's up to the department. So
Yes.
I heard you doing budgeting.
So, and when we go back to that hiring process, that kind of goes to that. So, yes, the department is saying, hey, I have a vacancy, and they're creating a requisition for the vacancy, and then they come to us for either a list or for us to post. So if it's a non-competitive position, we don't have lists for those. We just post those positions. So there's immediate posting, and then when we post, as it shows in step 6, daily, as the position is posted, daily we're referring those names of those people that have applied for the departments to be able to start looking and considering. So, as we said, with some of our barriers we have, when the departments get those names, it is our hope that they start immediately reviewing and considering people, rather than waiting to the end of the posting, because sometimes the departments may want us to post all the way for a whole month. We don't want you to wait a whole month to start considering people. So, and, we even have some departments that ask for continuous posting, but we got away from that a couple years ago, and no longer do continuous postings, because we saw that if we allow them to do that, those postings stay posted for a year, and you have a whole year and you haven't hired anyone in that position.
Oh, man, y'all be cooking over here. Man, oh, man. Y'all do not do the easy job. And then from a standpoint of HR, y'all deal with all discipline. A lot of the discipline and onboarding, is that correct?
To the chairman, yes, that's correct.
And then from internal promotions, would that go through HR for consideration for internal promotions, or how does that happen for the city of Cleveland in a department? If there's an opening or a vacancy and a director wants to fill it with someone internal, how does that promotion actually occur?
To the chair, so if it's a posted vacancy that is for promotion, well, let me back up. If it's a standard promotion, then it's just the department prepares the paperwork to promote the individual. So that's the creation of a requisition, and then subsequently creating the PID or the paperwork to actually promote the individual. If it's a trickle-down effect where there's, let's say, a vacancy created, then it would go into the hiring process that was described earlier with, pursuant to the vacancy.
All right, so hypothetically, a director doing some more reorganizing for their department, and they created a different position that will go through the pool and go through the civil service process potentially before someone can fill it internally?
To the chairman, for a promotion, they do not have to go back to a pool.
Okay, so that means they can promote someone
From within.
internally from within without having to go through the pool.
That's correct.
But if it was a vacancy open and it went through posting and it was somebody external, they would go through the pool.
To the chairman, it depends. So the pool, if we're talking about something that's is what was described earlier, something that's like a competitive position or a position that comes from a competitive list, that's a little bit different. If we're talking about a higher level position, for instance, as an example, someone's being promoted from a project coordinator position, which is non-bargaining, non-competitive, to an administrative manager, due to the addition of additional duties, program oversight, supervision, those kind of things. That's just an internal promotion based upon what that employee directly is doing or is responsible for.
Okay, and from that standpoint, if there's vacancies listed, that would be something that civil service has, correct? And then hiring timelines, certification, and hiring outcomes is civil service. Okay, do we have a list or do we have any real-time data to show how many vacancies are in the city currently for this year or anything like that?
Through the chair, it depends on what type of report you want. So we can provide a report to you through NeoGov that will identify approved vacancies. However, if you want an overall City of Cleveland vacancy report, then that request would be something that the Office of Budget and Management would provide. We can't provide that.
So, okay, we probably, if we could do a request for the reporting or the vacancies that you're allowed to do, that'd be great. And then to our staff, if we can get what you said, Office of Budget and Manager, if they can possibly send over some stuff too to look at. That's the only questions I have. I will open it up to the committee. Any committee members? Councilwoman Nikki Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the team here and to everybody for joining us today. I appreciate the presentation. As a new council member, I have a lot of confusion around, what's civil service and what's HR. So I really appreciate you coming today to explain that. I have one question. You mentioned the issue and you gave MOCAP as an example, but I'm sure there are other departments that have a similar problem where in the private sector, employees might be able to find higher paying jobs elsewhere. Who sets the pay rate for our city workers?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, so the department generally is going to set the range, but it has to be within the approved pay band. And a lot of times, we will be in discussion with the department on setting what that posted salary would be for the particular position. I can tell you, though, that it's particularly for the harder to fill positions, there's a lot of active discussion that occurs because the market is so tough for certain positions. And keep in mind, this would only be for all the non-bargaining positions. So the bargaining, of course, are set by the CBAs, but we try to remain as competitive as we can. And then we also put a lot of effort into selling total compensation for the city of Cleveland. So not just salary, but benefits, paid leave time. Some of the things that are we want candidates or potential hires of the city to really understand what can benefit them, not just in salary.
Okay, and thank you. And I understand that a lot of these positions might go unfilled then, and they're more technical positions often, like engineers, or I know you gave the example of MOCAP. I'm also thinking about the Division of Streets and Urban Forestry and other divisions that have very specific job requirements. Do we end up hiring outside contractors to fill these roles through the chair?
I don't think so. Through the chair to the councilman, not that I'm aware of, but I think you do bring up a good point. Positions that require certifications, licensure, IT positions, engineering positions, positions that require law degrees. I mean, there's a lot of positions that we do have a tough time because of that competition with the private sector, though.
And
Absolutely.
through the chair, so the department heads would be the ones who set the salaries for these positions?
Through the chair, the councilwoman. So yes, so the department has the final say, so to speak, on setting the salary. However, they do keep in pretty constant communication with us, particularly as it relates to making sure that positions are in line with similar positions within the city, and then also depending upon what's determined to be offered pursuant to the market or other analysis we've done. But the other thing too, I think that's important to bring up is, each position, even with the same classification title, could be wholly different across two departments. A project coordinator in the HR department would be very, very different than a project coordinator in the Department of Parks and Recreation, depending upon what they do. So the salaries can vary not only just based upon what the classification is, but the duties that are within the classification, because they can vary greatly depending upon the department and what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. And for these difficult to fill positions, and I'm thinking of urban forestry, I know that Commissioner Joubert changed the requirements. One of the constraints to hiring new urban foresters was that there was a 2-year experience requirement. So who is it? Is it civil service or is it HR who would determine the level of experience required for these positions before someone could be hired?
Through the chair to councilwoman, so we worked with Commissioner Joubert, and he provided us, he's the expert in urban forestry, not me. So he provided us with what he deemed to be the appropriate minimum qualifications, and that's what we presented to the commission.
Okay, thank you. So the department heads would have the say, because I would imagine that, city jobs, you would get a lot of valuable experience in certain fields. So it seems like an ideal place for people who are just starting out to start their career. And through the chair, what efforts are being done to make sure that people stay with the city for the entirety of their career instead of moving on to the private sector or to somewhere else?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, wow, that's a great question. I think there's a lot being done. You know, as it relates to I would say compensation benefits and those types of things, we are making continuous improvements in all of those areas in order to retain staff. Simple example, changing the vacation policy, right? To provide vacation after 30 days versus having to wait a year, lowering the thresholds in which higher accruals vacations occur, the institution of paid parental leave, which is an enormous benefit for individuals, particularly younger, you know, family-aged adults. So there's those kind of things too, but you know, we're also on a pretty continuous basis trying to beef up some of the other areas in which I think affected individuals want to stay, in us retain them. Training, for instance, paying for certifications or continuing education, CEUs. Really promoting their upskill and the want to, you know, get them the experience and the training so that our succession planning can be more robust. You know, that they can keep rising up in the ranks and replace those that are retiring. So I think those are, you know, just a couple of examples, but I would say citywide and, you know, department specific, there's a lot, you know, kind of in either that has already been put into place or is in motion to be put into place, you know, in the near future as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman, for your questions. Councilwoman House Jones.
Thank you to the chair, to the team. Good afternoon. I just have a general question of like, so if like in Ohio, civil service, I believe it was created in the early 1900s, statewide, maybe 1913 or so for the statewide, and then Ohio adopted it. And I always go back to like when things were created. Like, is it relevant in 2026? Like, that's what I'm really just like a real like baseline thing. Like, because all the rules that we are governed by a group of people at a moment in time created it for a particular interest. And when you look at history in 1913, I know I wasn't considered in that. So I'm really trying to figure out, like, is this really relevant? That's one. And then two, what would a truly equitable hiring practice look like for 2100, in the year 2100?
To the chair. Director.
Through the chair to Councilwoman House. So actually, one of the projects that we are engaged in is a review of the current civil service rules. So during our last meeting, we actually presented several rule changes. For example, one of them talks about a registry for the general labor class, and that's not something we've done probably in the last, since the early 1990s. It's like in our ledgers, we don't do that anymore. So that's something that we actually followed the collective bargaining process for, and you know, the actual civil service process. So we don't do that anymore. So that was one of the rule changes. We added some language that references U.S. mail because we actually got dinged on not sending something regular U.S. mail. We emailed it and like we got penalized for it. So we've added language to address that, like overarching language to address the U.S. mail. The rule that stands out in my mind that we have submitted to change was for the certification of names for vacancies. It had this crazy formula in it, like you round up to 4 times 10 divided by 2 minus 1. It's like something crazy to establish how many certified names you get per vacancy. And we like just changed it and made it easy to understand, easy to calculate language that makes sense. So that is something that we are currently doing. So probably once a month, we will have some rule changes until we get through it, because to your point, it is antiquated. Some of it is no longer applicable. It doesn't make sense, a lot of it, but no one has taken the time to actually go through it, to revise it, so that it actually addresses our workforce now, as opposed to 1920 or whenever it was.
So, like, through the chair, oh, thank you, through the chair to the team. So I'm many times we're operating a system that was not created for people in the city of today. We make tweaks to run it, but we're not literally operating in an, I would feel like, in the best optimal way. Or do we think that this is the optimal way to do hiring? And I know people say, well, these are the rules that we are given, but what I'm saying is, without that, like, are there better ways to do this? And have we really went through a process to explore what that could be? Or are people limited into, like, dreaming or creating something new?
Through the chair, agreed. I agree with you. However, until we get the bad language out, we can't even see what we're working with. So we've done research. We have researched other municipalities, Cincinnati, Dayton, Akron, like neighboring cities, California, Minnesota. Like, we've done a lot of research. So we are researching, but again, until we get the language that's not even applicable anymore, like, we really can't see what we're working with. And, you know, we're always open to seeing what, you know, what works best. I agree, this isn't by any means perfect, but I mean, we are making an effort. And we are totally open to looking at other processes that may work.
Okay. Just a couple of clarifications on, I think it's slide 17 that goes to appeals, fit for due and reinstatement. Just for clarification, under appeals, can you like just give like more clarification on what those things actually mean?
Through the chair, appeals references suspensions that were more than 5 days or terminations.
Okay.
So terminations may go through the commission, and they may also go through our referee.
And then fit for duty?
Fit for duty is a determination if an employee is medically fit to perform their duties, either physically or mentally.
Okay. And reinstatements are?
Reinstatements are people that may have left and they want to come back. So if they request through the commission to come back to their previous job within a year, they can request to do that through reinstatement. They can be reinstated if there's an active eligible list. They can be reinstated to the list.
And through the, just chair through the clarification, that's reinstated for the position they had. Now, explain that. So someone could leave, is it like a willful leaving, or?
Through the chair, the councilwoman, they have to be in good standing when they leave. They can't just, have pending discipline or something and then leave and request to come back.
And then the clarification through the chair to the director, and that is for, let me see how to say, a position that, these are for all like civil service position, or?
Classified through the
So
chair.
these are only for classified positions?
That is correct, through the chair.
Yes. Learn something new. Never knew that. Okay, that is a whole, yep, yep, through the chair to the team here. And then on slide 19, as we talk about EEO complaints, what is, I mean, we talk about, let me ask this question. EEO complaints filed, EEO complaints with an action, like what does this mean? Because it's a number. I don't know, what does it mean?
Sure. Through the chair of the councilwoman, so this was the number of EEO complaints filed in each of these years. And these, pursuant to the requests that we received, are only cases that deal directly with discrimination. There is an action or a resolution on every case filed, though. So if something's filed, then it's investigated and then either determined to be founded or not founded. And then from our perspective, we then move the case to the department. So no case is just filed but not left unresolved.
So can we get like a breakdown on what the actual findings are regarding these cases? And I guess as a follow-up, had there been any identified trends if things have been founded?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we do periodically recommend training. We also assist departments in training, depending upon the findings. I will say, though, that it's more of an individualized situation, whereas, in other words, it's not a systemic finding. It's a finding that exists between the parties of the case, or a small group of parties. But yes, we do also assist with that as well.
And then through the chair to the director, what are step 3 grievances?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, good question. So step 3 for most collective bargaining agreements is the last step of a grievance before arbitration. So, for instance, steps 1 and 2 are at the department level. It could be step 1 with a supervisor, or step 2 with a commissioner, for instance. And then if it's unresolved in either of those 2 steps, it goes to step 3, and then step 3 is handled by our labor relations team in human resources.
Okay. And then the other thing, I was looking at this, so this is only regarding civil service commissions, and I'm going back to 17. There were 4 terminations as far as civil service classifications in 2025. And then what about for unclassified employees?
Through the chair to the councilman, this.
Oh, these are appeals.
Correct.
This is not the. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's
I'm
not
like,
the. Yeah, that's not the total.
Ain't clicking.
Right.
This not. This
No.
is not tracking right.
No. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I will. This is just my final. I guess a request asked that I would like to work with the department on through the chair. Could I work with you all on exploring for real, the real impact of getting paid family medical leave in the city of Cleveland? The policy.
The question she's asking is working with both departments or whichever department falls under for medical leave assistance.
Paid family.
Paid.
Yes, paid family leave.
Family.
And medical leave.
And medical leave.
Thank you.
Through the chair of the councilwoman, that would be with the human resources department.
So human resources, so she's going to reach out and connect with you all. And please invite me to that. I would love to learn too.
Yeah, no, the reason why, again, through the chair, just to context, this is something that a lot of the times, even the thing when we say the leave program, where FMLA currently is unpaid, paid parental leave is paid, and then the sick donation, I just think it is a big, I think we could do better for people asking other people to donate their sick time to other people. That to me is wild. And most of the time when you do the research under medical leave and things of that nature, a lot of times what happens is people actually need it for themselves or for those that are caregiving, people are living long. There's a whole thing, and I really would like to do the analysis to really talk about what is the true impact, even right now for FMLA. What is the impact in workforce? Who actually does what work? Really getting into the nuts and bolts of what happens, and what do we think should be realistic, fair, and equitable for workers and the work environment when we know life is happening to people, right? And I'm not talking about because people always try to utilize the worst case scenarios. We know that there are trifling people who are always going to try to game a system. The overwhelming majority of people are not like that. A lot of people, they just need to be supported, and they shouldn't be in financial ruin, in my opinion, and even what studies show. And then when you look at labor practices across the globe, we can just improve much more better labor practices for workers. And so I would really just like to experience that now, because my initial conversation didn't go really that well with the administration. And one day I will tell the story, which people will be highly offended when I actually share it, but I'm choosing not to share it at this moment in time. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Harsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I kind of want to follow up on Councilwoman House Jones' questioning. Through the chair, are there cities that operate without a civil service?
Through the chair, yes, there are.
Okay, so through the chair, the existence of civil service in Cleveland, is that a requirement of our charter, of the state? Why do we have,
Through the chair, it's part of our charter.
The City of Cleveland Charter, which comes up for review in 2028. Okay. So through the chair, civil service, I think I understood this. Civil service, you basically handle the hiring process, and then HR, you handle the employee management of the people that are already hired. I did have one other question on page 17. What is the psych? I thought we were going to get there, but on the appeals, what is psych appeal? What does that mean? Is it mental health issues?
Which is the third line under appeals.
On page 17.
Through the chair, that could be police and/or fire entry-level folks that did not pass the psych exam. They have the right to appeal.
Interesting. Okay. And then on page 19, the step 3 grievances are 25 in 2022, but over 4 months. Still extrapolated, that'd be 100, and then they go up to 294, 219, 259. They climb quite a bit. Is there any reason for the step 3 grievances increasing in recent years? Through the chair?
Through the chair, the councilman, the numbers honestly are always very, very hard to predict in terms of what we're going to get. The overwhelming number of step 3 grievances, though, do tend to be as a result of discipline, being grieved. The other thing I would probably note from the drop in 2023 to 2024 was an increased concerted effort to promote labor management. 23 to 24. In 24 and in 25, though, we did begin collective bargaining. So sometimes there's a correlation between an increased number of grievances and collective bargaining. But in all reality, there's really no way to necessarily predict. I would say, though, that we, as well as the departments, do make a concerted effort to try to resolve as much as we can as relates to any type of a labor dispute or grievance between an employee or group of employees and the employer.
Okay. Just a few more questions then. Through the chair, you said that you provide lists of 10 for everyone except safety, which you do 3. So you do 1 in 10 for everyone except safety departments, which do 1 in 3. Did I understand that correctly? Or is it other way?
Through the chair, the 1 and 3 is for promotional.
For promotional. 1 in 10, then through the chair is for all other hiring.
Correct.
And so through the chair, you also said that the department is required to interview all 10?
Through the chair, that is correct.
So through the chair, would it be problematic for the department if one of those people was holding out on scheduling their interview and dragging their feet, and they had to finish that 10th interview before they could even reflect on the first 9?
Through the chair, yes, it could be a problem, but I mean, after so many attempts to reach someone, or if they don't respond, then they just move on and we'll certify another name.
Okay, so through the chair, they can, if somebody's not responding because they've already been hired somewhere else and they're not going to pick up the phone because whatever, they're done, at some point the department would say, hey, this person isn't answering, they would kick them back to you and you would have to give them another one and they have to finish that 10th interview?
Through the chair, that is correct.
I see. So that could really slow things down if they are having trouble getting through 10 interviews. And then when you said that, through the chair, that the salaries are an issue, is that because the 10 people that we're sending them, some of them are taking other positions during the process and the department has to figure out that that person's no longer an eligible candidate and kick them back to you to get another person? Like, how does the competitive nature of other employers hamper our ability to hire quickly? I'm trying to understand how that interacts.
Through the chair, I think there's a misunderstanding. It would not. It would not. So when we're saying competitive salary, we're saying overall. For instance, a customer service at Lincoln Electric may make $25 an hour,
Sure.
where that's not our scale. So we get a lot of declines for customer service rep in that regard. They'll respond that they're interested, but then when they hear what the salary is, they're no longer interested.
I'm sorry, through the chair, I thought we posted salaries with the job description.
Through the chair, we do. They are posted.
Okay, so they know what they're applying for. They just find out during the process that there's greener pastures.
So through the chair, if I can chime in, a lot of times the postings may have a range. So it may have the start range and then the top of the pay band range.
Yeah.
So of course, most of the time when people apply for jobs, you'll see a range and you're thinking, oh, I can probably fit in the middle. But the way the contracts is with the different bargaining unions, they have to start at the bottom of the pay band.
Okay. I think I just have one more question. There's, I think, 8,000 employees in the city of Cleveland, and I don't know how many departments, but a dozen or two. Through the chair, is it possible that some departments slow down their own hiring because they're trying to manipulate the pool? They would say, "Oh, hey, I got a couple smiles and smirks on that one." A particular department, I'm not just going to say Department X, okay, has an opening. And someone in Department X says, "Oh, hey, my neighbor Stacy would be great for this job. Let me go call her." And Stacy wasn't in the pool, but we're gonna walk slow, and give Stacy a chance to get in the pool to see if she can. You know what I mean? Like, is it possible that people can manipulate this process in order to try to?
Through the chair. So we try to prevent that, and we request from the departments a different disposition on those candidates that they sent. So they have to give us a reason why they didn't select the candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So just by saying, sometimes they'll say not best fit, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a good enough reason for us to say you're going to get another name because you feel like this person is not best fit and you can't elaborate on why they're not a best fit. You understand? So yes, they may be trying to reach, but we try to do what we can to prevent that.
I see.
So that would be the same as sometimes they will request a copy of the eligible list.
Mm-hmm.
We don't provide a copy of the list because we know you're going to search for a name on the list. So, yeah, we try to do what we can to prevent those obstacles.
Okay. One last question, Mr. Chair. In cities that don't use the civil service process, is hiring just handled through HR in those cities?
Through the chair, based on our research, yes, it is.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Harsh. Councilman Shaw?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time. I wanted to go through real quick just a few questions, but I was just sitting here thinking about Councilman Harsh's questions, and I chuckled. I don't think there's been a set of rules that's been made in human history that people haven't tried to manipulate. So I appreciate that. Yeah. That's so. I wanted to just a quick question, and forgive me for some of my questions. You know, I'm still learning what the process looks like and how it works, and I've appreciated my conversations outside the table about just what the process looks like. I wanted to understand, when I was going through the charter, the requirements for what the classified service is and what the unclassified service, why isn't city council staff a part of the classified service?
To the table?
Through the chair to the councilman, city council staff are unclassified, not classified.
So I think he asked him what created a separation, why they aren't there, a part of it.
Oh,
You're saying, wait, just to clarify, you said city council staff is unclassified?
correct.
Through the chair to the director, where does that come from? Because the charter is pretty clear. It has enumerated positions that are unclassified. I'm looking at it right now. There's executive assistants to the mayors and special assistants to the mayor. I don't see executive assistants to council as part of the unclassified staff. I was just curious.
Through the chair to the councilman, I'm not sure if there's another section that covers it. I know that at least in the areas of either the classified or unclassified portions of the code that I've reviewed, I have never seen a reference
Mr. Chairman,
to city council being
The
part of the
director is so
classified system.
soft-spoken. Can he please
Hold on.
speak into the
Hold on,
microphone?
hold on, Councilman.
If we could have the director,
got you,
because I
Director.
can't hear it down here.
Hold on, Councilman. Director, can you speak up when you answer questions so everyone at the table and the viewing audience can hear? You might have to scoot up a little
Just
bit
put
and
your
bring the mic
outside
to He
voice
got you.
on,
Is
and then
this
that way
better?
we can hear you.
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you, Director. And Councilman?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I urge, I think all of us to look into it. I'm curious. I'm not advocating
is good.
for council staff to be included in that.
Maybe
but
so.
I'm just curious what differentiates it. Is this loud enough, Councilman Jones?
That's right. You're hitting
Okay.
it on the nail.
Um,
And I want to hear what the director.
Hold on,
Um,
Councilman.
se-
Don't interrupt him.
Section
Keep
B
his time.
of the charter says, and I'm reading straight from it, the classified service shall comprise all positions not specifically included by this charter in the unclassified service. To me, that's a pretty straightforward sentence saying that if a position is not enumerated above, then it should be a classified service position. So I'm curious to hear. I'm happy to hear back if you once you get a chance to look into it. Maybe it's a question we should ask law. I'm just curious.
Councilman, may I? Hold on one
Please,
second.
jump in. Yeah,
So
yeah.
from your standpoint of the line of questioning, you believe that council staff should be going through the basic civil service or possibly HR department hiring process?
According to the
Based on
charter,
the charter?
it would seem that way. I don't see any other distinctions.
And so therefore, from that standpoint, would that be something that, since it says it's in the charter, that means the departments will have to mandate that? Is that not clear through the,
What do you mean the departments would have to mandate?
wouldn't that be something that they should all go through, and these departments should be the ones helping with this process, right?
I think all of council staff should be, if my read, like
Based on
I said, maybe
interpretation.
there's a separate portion of the charter, as Councilman Harsh was indicating, he thinks there might be, and he very well might be right. I haven't done a full review of the charter, but as far as this portion of civil services, I'm curious as to why council staff isn't a part of this.
So then I would definitely want to ask possibly, is it because council passed their own rules? Or do that mean our own rules supersede the charter?
Well,
Asking to you?
just, the above portion where it lists all of the classified service, it says, the unclassified service shall include all officers elected by the people, that's us 15 and the mayor, all directors and assistant directors of departments, the clerk of council, the chief of police, 4 deputy chiefs of police, 12 commanders, the members of all boards or commissions appointed by the mayor, the secretary to the mayor and 1 secretary for each department of a department, director of a department, executive assistants to the mayor and special assistants to the mayor, temporary employees for not to exceed 90 days, and students enrolled in recognized educational institutions, school crossing guards, members of the auxiliary police force. And that's it. There's no other distinction. But
Thank you.
what makes me think that our staff would be here is because we're enumerated there. Clerk of council is enumerated there as someone who doesn't have to go through this process. So if our staff was to be excluded from this, they would hypothetically be there unless there's another portion of the charter. But just curious.
Thank you. I like that. Please continue.
Yeah, I wanted to the director of civil service, wanted to understand the exams that we come up with. These are they administered remotely? Are they administered in person?
Clarification, Mr. Chairman.
1 second. Let me finish my action.
He can go before
It's
you.
a point of clarification because the distinguished councilman asked a question. I couldn't hear the director's response on the answering the question. I asked Mr. Chairman if he could speak in louder
So-
into the mic.
So it was,
There
for
was
that
no
clarification,
response.
It was no necessarily, me and Councilman Shaw was having a discussion to get clarification from what he was bringing up based on the charter. And the directors are taking notes, and I believe they're going to come back with a response to that. And
see.
if you can, any director, can y'all speak to the point of clarification, if that's something you can look into, and determine why this process is being done the way it is, and bring or share some information, and if you can, work with law and get a legal opinion as well to make sure we are moving and doing things the correct
Thank you,
way.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you to my colleague for yielding.
Yep, Councilman Shaw.
So, yeah, Director, if you wanted to take that on, I was just asking, when the exams, do we administer them remotely? Are folks taking them on their own devices? Do they, I wanted to understand what that process looks like.
Through the chair, no, the exams are administered in person, but we are in the process. We have some vendors that we are actually going to provide some demos for us to look at remote options.
Oh, I see. Okay. And where do they take the exams? I'm just curious.
Through the chair, depending on the volume, public auditorium, utilities, room 20, just depends.
Okay.
And, around City Hall.
Got it. To Director for Human Resources, wanted to understand, and I might have asked you this before, but have we retained legal counsel, external legal counsel for labor relations in the past year?
Through the chair to the councilman, yes. Are you, if it's a reference to, is it a reference to collective bargaining specifically? Correct. Yes, we have.
We do.
Yes.
And why is that?
Through the chair to the councilman, the collective bargaining program is large. We have to negotiate 33 collective bargaining agreements on 3-year cycles in the midst of everything else that we do. It would take a very robust internal team to do otherwise. Historically, we've used outside counsel for collective bargaining agreement have elected, at least at this time, to continue the same path.
I see. And is it just one firm, or do we use multiple?
Through the councilman or chairman to the councilman, we use 2 firms. We use one firm specifically for public safety unions and collective bargaining agreements, and then one for non-public safety.
And what are the firms to the director through the chair?
Through the chairman to the councilman, for the non-public safety, it's Stefanik Iosu is the law firm. Jeremy Iosu is the principal that negotiates the majority. And then on the public safety side, it's the Wilkins law firm. and there's more names. I apologize to Wilkins, but I refer to them as Wilkins. And Pat Hoban is the principal attorney for those contracts.
Thank you. That helps. I want to ensure, this is something we've talked about. Oh,
It's the Castor, Westman, and Wilkins. For the
okay. Thank you. It's something we've talked about with other departments. You might have heard me before, but I think more and more I'm interested in understanding why or what the barriers are of us building internal capacity to do these negotiations. Generally, I'm very hesitant about external law firms. I believe they generally are anti-union, and there's less ability for us to control those things when we're going externally. And I think it would be conducive for our long-term labor relations when we're able to build that long-term relations with our unions ourselves. So whether that's, I hear you on the capacity portion, and that's something I imagine we got to have a conversation with Director Griffin about for the law department, but I certainly am interested in understanding how we can build that internal capacity so that we can have these negotiations be done in-house rather than go externally. And I'd be happy to have a joint meeting with the director too, if you're interested in that, if you're open to that. But that's something I want to explore and understand what the barriers look like and what type of resources would be necessary so that we can move in that direction.
Sure. Through the chair to the councilman, though, I would like to just for the record note that the firms that we use are not at all in any way anti-union. To the contrary, many of the attorneys that actually work for these firms are experienced labor people and come from labor backgrounds. And our position from the city perspective has never been that either. So I think, to the contrary, we actually work in a fashion with these unions to come up with the fairest possible, whether it be language, wages, what have you, to make it as best as we can for the employees, and then feasible, right, operationally or fiscally for the city. But I would certainly be happy to engage in any conversation, related to a different path with you as well.
I hear you, and I appreciate you making that clarification, and I definitely would not presume that these two specific law firms are anti-union or they have any history like that. I'm not familiar with them, so I respect that. For me, once again, it's anytime we're going external with any of our consultants, any of our services, we see there's an additional charge. Once again, not commenting on the quality of the work that these law firms provide for us, but rather recognizing just the simple fact that when we go in-house, we can save much more money for the taxpayers in the long run, and I believe we would be able to have much more conducive relations when it's the same parties meeting over time, not subject to just private law firms and changing partners and advocates there. So to me, I appreciate the clarification. I think for me, this point still stands of wanting to drive as much of this work that we can in-house, because I imagine these firm contracts aren't cheap either. Thank you, Chair. I yield.
Thank you, Councilman Shaw. You brought up some very valid points, and I'd be interested to see what we find out from the experts on how things are done, and I understand where you was going with that. Councilwoman Deborah Gray, and followed by Councilman Jones.
That's fine. I'll close it.
I know what you like to do, Councilman Jones.
Thank you for putting me ahead of it. I appreciate it. I just want to thank you, Chair. I want to ask if you can be patient with me. I would like to ask some of your employees, what are their job positions? What do they do in them? Could we start with the young lady on the end? Chair 2, your name again?
Yes. Can everyone at the table introduce themselves?
And just tell me your job position. What do
And
you
your title
do in
and your
your
role.
job?
Okay, so I'm Beverly Johnson, Human Resource Business Operations Manager. I oversee talent management and talent acquisition and the front desk and file room and kind of the overall operations. I assist with redesigns through operations with Bonnie T. Wynn. I look at the overall health of our employees. We bring in different things, like one of the council women asked about how we keep our employees. We do Money Talk Tuesdays. We look at our employees outside of just them being employees. We bring in estate planners, mortgage loans. We had how to avoid probate court. We bring in student loan experts. We bring in everything employees need because they're here until about 5 o'clock. So when they leave here, things are closed and they can't get to certain things. So we try to bring them here during work hours and not just on lunch. We started about 10 when we had these workshops, and we encourage the departments to release their employees to come down and participate in these programs.
Wow, wonderful. Wonderful, excellent.
Okay, operations.
Okay, great. I love the explanation. Now, can I go to some of the employees out here? And this is the reason, I have a reason why I'm doing this.
Yes.
Could we start with the gentleman in the first, right here?
2 sentences.
I'm Gerald Eatman. I'm the chief examiner, and I work with the other examiners to give tests to provide the city of Cleveland with a list of qualified people to perform the work that the city can do.
Okay, the test you give them is like in different positions due to the civil service test?
The written exams are specific to each job classification.
Okay, all right, thank you. Vice President?
Hello, my name is Michael Flickinger, and I'm the Vice President of the Civil Service Commission. I have the pleasure to work with this wonderful staff that keeps us going and keep the meetings going.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Michael's also a Westtown Community Development Board member.
Is he? All right. That's all right.
Good afternoon. I am Leah Guzman. I'm the project director in civil service. Larger part of my job is to help with the commission and any items that need to be on our agendas, our roll calls, getting the information out to those. And then I also handle a lot of our larger projects, the police hiring events, assist with any big promotionals for police and fire, and just kind of assist in any way I can for applicants and internal employees.
All right, thank you.
Monique Tapman, I'm Employee Relations Manager. I manage the EEO complaint process, workplace violence, sexual harassment, drug and alcohol process for the city, all leave absence, which includes paid for leave, FMLA, APA. I also assist with policy and implementation, also labor relations, as far as discipline.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anthony Hinton. Let me grab the scroll.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a civil service examiner supervisor. I assist the chief examiner. Part of my duties is not only to give the exams, but also to assist the examiners and also help the department in general to develop ways in which we can enhance our process, such as the amount of time that the exams are out, creating those ideas, communicating the gaps so that the process can run a little bit smoother.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Ed Morales. I'm the Assistant Director of Human Resources. My primary area of focus is collective bargaining and labor relations. I also going to work with Monique on employee relations, benefits team also. I work with them, including political wellness team. So employee relations, labor relations, benefits,
Great, thank you, thank you.
I'm Derek McDaniel.
What's your name? I can't hear you.
Derek McDaniel. I'm recruiting and development manager. I help apply for the city and make applying for the city accessible. And I help create pathways to those hard-to-fill positions and create strategic ways to recruit and do fun things to keep the city and I's view.
All right, thank you.
Christopher Smith, Civil Service Examiner Degree. Proctor exams should not be domestic notifications for applicants to come in and take the exams and follow the civil service examination process.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Shanine. I'm on Snapchat.
Got a mic voice.
Light voice, yes, I'm sorry. My name is Shanine Scott Chapman. I assist the assistant committee manager of the department, referring candidates from NeoGov to the different departments, as well as the eligibility list.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Latrice Harris. I am the receptionist for civil service, and I help assist everyone in the office, and I actually create a to-do list and make sure they're updated in the book, and it stays up there with me at my desk.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I am Tamika Johnson Tanner. I am an assistant admin. My role consists of managing the list. That's the person that keeps track of the names as when we complete our exams. I manage those numbers. I also assist with the actual exams, proctoring, creating things of that nature, and I also assist recruitment and job fairs.
All right, thank you.
Hello again, I'm Louise Sims, and I'm also an examiner. I work really closely with Chris. I work closely with recruiting, and the majority of my role is to give exams, proctor exams, answer questions, and just be a help to the entire office.
All right, appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Natalie Tamba. I am a project coordinator in civil service. I do fit for duties, reinstatements, and I support my colleague Leanne here with anything that she needs in the office.
All right, appreciate it. And assistant director?
Almost there.
Lila Abrams Fitzpatrick, Business and Operations Manager. So I am the Operations Manager for Civil Service, and I am also the administrator of NeoGov. So I oversee NeoGov for the entire city. So that's managing the system, you know, providing authority for people to be in the system and doing things like that for NeoGov.
All right, and did a great job with the presentation on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Director.
Good afternoon, through the chair. My name's Rashawn. I oversee the hiring process, and actually, the bulk of my job right now is I am meeting with the departments, going through their actual job classifications to update the classifications and the minimum requirements to make sure that the classifications are still what they need. Do we need to reclassify? Do we need to change the classifications altogether? So that's a critical project for me right now.
All right, thank you. And Director.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, hello, I'm Matt Cole, Director of Human Resources. So we oversee, or I oversee benefits, wellness, labor relations, employee relations, talent acquisition, talent management, are the main areas. We have just a multitude of awesome employees that are, you know, doing that work on a daily basis and work collaboratively with Director Long and Civil Service, you know, on many projects, you know, kind of on a day-to-day basis, just really to continue to make the city better.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Chair, for your patience. It's because I did this because we need to know your job positions match up with your resume. And that's the topic that we have been having a conversation on, that when you hire folks, when you hire new employees, the process is what their resume consists of with the job position doing your civil service and HR. You're matching up those skills for them to do the extra job that they're being hired in order for them to get the salary that you providing as what you just said at the table with the other colleagues asking all those questions. And so I appreciate you guys giving me patience and grace for you guys to show that. Only because, I'm gonna say this, and I was I had a resident that called me and complained about the employees here at City Hall. Council is not over the employees. I have nothing to do with the employees, but she called and complained to me to say that she walked around and asked employees here at City Hall what was their job positions, and she said no one knew what they were doing. I told her I had nothing to do with that she need to go to HR and talk to the director and let the director know and not council, period. And then she literally came up here herself. She came up here herself, and she even questioned me as the new council, which I didn't know who she was, to complain to me about me, and I didn't know who she was to complain to me about me. And, and then she took it a little bit farther to continue to complain. It was an uncomfortable conversation with her, as per se, but I had to address her and send her somewhere else to communicate in another area, to shut that down. But I hope she's watching. I hope she's watching to make a point that if she's upset with the administration of Mayor Bill's employees, where she needs to go to get her answers from the HR department of City Hall, and not to come and complain to a council about city employees per se, and then make us think about it and said that she's going to run against me in 3 years because she was upset with me. Understand? That has nothing to do with me. She got her hands full. So that's the point I want to make, is that we need to distinguish, folks need to distinguish that council is not over city employees. Council have their own employees that we hire in. And that was a good point that our colleague Tammy Shaw brought up about the charter. So that's the difference of information that our residents and our citizens need to understand. That is a separation, but council don't have answers for everyone, and everyone cannot be blamed for what you are looking for, and you can't get it through the council. And if you want to get a job position, you have to go through the HR process and the civil service process through the HR of the city hall. So that's the point that I want to make and put out there, that we need to learn to understand the process of City Hall and the process of the council members. Okay, but thank you for being patient with me. Thank you, Chair, for the grace you gave me to make my point. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Councilwoman McGray, for your great point, and I think that's why this committee hearing was very important for us to be able to tell the difference between civil service as well as HR for clarification, so the viewers at home as well as council be updated. Councilman Joe Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was quite a bit of information that was given to us, and I see civil service jobs by department. So there is like a total of, I would believe, 86 pages. So I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page. And this was given to us as a part of our whole briefing. Are you familiar with this? The 86 pages?
Through the chair, yes, I am.
Okay. So these are all, just so that I'm on the same page, these are all civil service jobs.
Through the chair, yes, they are.
And so, and then when you look at this, what are we looking at in terms of total employees that are civil service versus employees who are not civil service? And do we have a listing of the employees who are not civil service?
Through the chair, I can provide that. That would be a separate document. I can provide that to you.
I appreciate that. And then in this document that I'm looking at 81 pages here, I believe that's right if my eyesight is correct. How many employees are we talking about that has to go through the civil service process?
Through the chair, you're asking as far as being hired? I
Well,
don't
we
understand the
have
question.
81 pages of people would have to, you know, I guess I presume they're part of the civil service exam. They have to take an examination.
Through the chair, no. So the request, I believe, was asking for classification by department. So that document is just showing you what classifications are in what department. And I think I sent it to you in a couple of formats, so you could pick the one, whatever
Yes.
one worked for you the
All right,
best.
so
That's all.
so these are civil service jobs broken down to,
Through the chair, it has unclassified and classified. It's everyone. Like it touches any employee in the city of Cleveland, what their job classification is.
okay,
It's
so
just
this is all the jobs. This is the job listing of all the jobs, all 81 pages.
through the chair, correct.
Okay, so then how do I determine what jobs are civil service and which ones are not civil service jobs?
Through the chair, I can provide you a report that has unclassified versus classified.
Okay, so then do we have an idea what the number is in terms of civil service employees?
Through the chair, off the top of my head, I do not.
Do we
I
have a rough
apologize.
estimate maybe? You don't have to be exact, like some folks try to be exact. If you're 1,000 off, that's cool.
If not, Director, you can get it
And
back.
if you don't know, and if it's a guess, don't worry about it. But would like to know what
I
that
would
is.
say.
Unless you're saying it's 50% of this list.
Through the chair, I would say at least 50%.
Okay, that's a lot
Yes.
of people. All right.
Through the chair, so you do want to unclassified versus classified,
Well, it just
correct?
makes it a lot difficult now that you say it's 50-50. So with the next line of questioning, so I'm trying to figure out which route, because I don't want to make these folks over here mad at me, and really start digging deep here. So the issue, Mr. Chairman, is a request of information of knowing how many employees are civil service employees versus those employees who are not classified as civil service. And then the next request of information, Mr. Chairman, is to have pay bands listed for each one. So for an example, if we look at page 1, here on the chart, it says Civil Service Department Administrative Manager, and it has 4 of those. And then it has aging, and I guess I presume that this is a part of the aging department. So it would show how much these people are making, you know, how much each one of these positions are making, and then what is that pay band. So if, for an example, administrative manager, you have 4 of them. So what are they making? What is their salary? 1. And then 2, what is the pay band next to their salary? How far can they go up on the pay band?
Through the chair, understood.
Then the next piece here we talked about, and this is, I'm going to go through the request of information first, and then I go into my line of questions, Mr. Chairman. The next one is the list of, we often talk here at the table about union contracts, and as always, everything is around union contracts. As soon as we get finished with one round of union contracts, we're back on renegotiating the next round with union contracts. So how many unions do we reach agreements and contracts with on an annual basis?
Through the chair to the councilman, so there's 22 unions and 33 collective bargaining agreements or contracts.
You say it's 22 unions, but 33?
Correct.
Explain that.
Through the chair to the councilman, so one union may represent multiple bargaining units, and in each bargaining unit has their own contract.
I see.
Right. So just as an example, Teamsters Local 507, there's actually 4 collective bargaining agreements for that one union.
Huh.
Right. So, in terms of annually, all the current collective bargaining agreements, or this cycle rather, collective bargaining agreements runs from April 1st of 2025 through 3/31 of 2028.
Mm-hmm.
So, the team has been negotiating the contracts since prior to the expiration of the current contracts. But they land in terms of being ratified and then subsequently fully executed through the course of the year.
So that I can get a better idea and understand, because I sit here a lot and we talk about these propositions constantly, and then as being an elected official, you meet the different people, the various different union representatives, and you meet some of their members, and I've had sessions where it's been really nice and positive, and I've had sessions where it hasn't been so nice. And can we get a list of all of those unions that you negotiate with, all 22 of them, and then have the branch off on how many negotiation pieces? So here's what I'm asking for directly. Thank you, Ms. Long, for taking notes. The first thing I'm asking for is, what is the union name? Who's the union officers? So you would have a listing of who the union officers are, the name of the union. You would have their address listing, wherever that's listing at, and then any phone numbers and whereby which I can contact that union. Also, if you have a cheat sheet, which will give me a quick glance at what the new negotiated contract is all about. What was the wins and losses? I don't need to have the entire package of the contract, but just a cheat sheet of what was upgraded for this particular union. And also, Mr. Chairman, to the director, to make sure that I know which union does what, give a breakdown on who they actually represent and what those jobs are that this union actually provides as relates to a service to the city.
Got it.
Got it.
The next thing, Mr. Chairman, is the whole proposition, and we've talked a little bit about this collective bargaining, and having that information allows me an opportunity to maybe ask more questions, Mr. Chairman, that I'd probably go offline with the director, because some of the nuances of some of the things that I've seen so far I was kind of confused with, sort of like my colleague that brought up the city charter and talked about that. Now, getting into civil service, how many civil service employees do we have working for us that helps to process the civil service process? And then how many employees do we have that actually work with us that just works with everybody else? So you have a separation of staff. You have those people who are staff, Mr. Chairman, that specifically work with dealing with civil service exams and civil service processing. And then I would presume you have those that just deal with hiring people off the street that may not be under those classifications of civil service. How does that work? Or is there a difference?
Through the chair, there's no difference. We handle
So you do
classified
both?
and, yeah.
Okay, so you hire on both sides. So it's the staff is for everybody. It's not split up into any sections.
Through the chair, correct.
Okay. And so now the next issue, Mr. Chairman, is one that has been ongoing, is the process by which we hire. And then how long does it take for a department to request a hire, and how fast do you get those hires in on the city of Cleveland? I know we talked about this to some great length previously, and I didn't know if we have shortened that time period.
Through the chair, the average time I mentioned before is about 82 to 130, 33 days, somewhere in there. It just depends on how long it takes the department to
So
interview.
we haven't shortened that then.
It's definitely shortened. I mean, if you recall from
It
before.
was like 7 months.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like 7 months, 8 months.
Yes.
And then those people decided to go somewhere else. So we're talking 90 to 120. So you're looking like 4 to 5 months just to get someone in now. So you cut off about 2 months.
Through the chair, that is correct.
All right.
It's still working.
So the next question is, why aren't we cutting it down even farther and faster? Because the need is so great, and so in assistance, it just doesn't make sense to me why we take so long.
Through the chair, the bottleneck is not necessarily with civil service. Again, it's the department. So, for instance, if we'll use utilities as an example, if they have 50 customer service reps or pipe repair, vacancies, they're going to have to interview, at least 60 people. The timing, the delay, and not saying it in a negative manner, lies within the department, how fast they interview.
So is the department, because I hear it both ways. I hear that we're waiting for you guys to do what you do down there, and we haven't received any candidates, and or we received the candidates, and those candidates were sufficient. They were not sufficient.
Through the chair, that is correct. So if there is no existing list and no one has given us a heads up that we need to do an announcement for a test, then through the chair, then yes, that would be a delay.
Are we looking at taking an analytic look at this and how we can improve our processes?
Through the chair, yes, we are.
Okay.
We actually try to look at the lists that are potentially going to expire to test ahead of time, not wait until someone is asking for it.
And have we started the proposition of looking at newer technologies to add in the office so we can be a lot more efficient? Of course, we'll add analyticals in there, which is really good. But are we looking at other avenues like artificial intelligence?
Through the chair, in a sense, the one thing that we're actually excited about is that we're beginning to interview vendors for online testing. So that's a big thing for us. We have money and budget that was designated to us for that reason. So we're looking for ways to automate.
And then I don't want to harp long because I know you said you saved the best for last, but I just think you discriminated against me, Mr. Starr, because everybody's asleep now. But what I want to say, what I want to say, and what I want to look at, and I don't want to dig too deep, but just touch it a little bit because I'm concerned. I've been sitting here now, going all the way back to 1996, 97, 98, coming into public office in 98, and we still are arguing about the same. It just feels like Back to the Future with some of the questions that I asked back then that I'm still asking here today and still no real results. Fannie Lewis and a group of us in those days, Bill Patman being one of them, the late Bill Patman, and other colleagues at that time were concerned about the fact that we were not hiring fast enough African-American police officers. And we were not hiring African-American firefighters. And so that has been an ongoing issue sitting here at the table. Can you help me to understand why I'm looking almost 30 years later and we're still in the same place and civil service is supposed to be about really fundamentally hiring people that look like the citizens of the city of Cleveland in terms of its demographics, and we have never been able to make it? What seems to be the problem? Because it seems like from one decade to the next decade, I'm getting all this cockaboodle nonsense. And part of it is now the issue is no one wants to be hired on as a police officer. But no one's saying anything about the firefighters' ranks and how we have these legacy families seem to always have all of the way and get all their people. And even if the people live in Oklahoma, they're still coming in here and getting hired. While we got citizens who live here in the city of Cleveland who happen to be African American and some who happen to pass all the tests and were looked over.
And before you...
And so I would say I'm not a fan of the civil
Councilman
service
Jones,
because of it.
Before they answer this question, you're up about...
Well, I didn't sit here and watch other people,
Yep.
and I didn't time them too now.
I know
And I know you've been liberal, so let me start calling names.
No, you're at 15 minutes, so I'm going to let the director answer, and you wrap it up. Can you do that for us, Councilman?
Can you give me a couple more minutes?
If you're at 15 minutes, they're going to answer this
give me- I
question,
got-
and then you're going to wrap it up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, the best way I can answer that question,
Let's see, you want to take me out on the question that's important to the people of the city.
No,
So go
no.
ahead.
So one of the things is,
This is
like I
the
mentioned
people's
earlier,
question. It doesn't matter if you're the chairman or someone else.
What I mentioned earlier, Councilman, we're going to have a discussion in the hearing with civil service and fire and other divisions to talk about some internal stuff that we asked during budgeting time. So we can dig deeper into that than not
If you
just
give me
distract
time
yourself.
there, I'll be so
I got you. So they're going to answer this question, and can you wrap it up after that? That's all.
Please, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
through the chair, we cannot control who applies. I mean, there's several variables that play into that. Like we accept the applicants and we process them, so we're not, you know, picking and choosing, you know, who applies or how we refer the names. I do work with the Vanguard, so we do try to look at different recruitment efforts. The one thing that I want to bring up, we did have a rule change that was approved, and that's going to give CMSD applicants a 5-point preference credit. So that's something that we looked at. And it won't just be for police and fire, it's to all CMSD applicants. But I just want Derek, as our recruitment manager, to just say a few words. I don't know if you want to speak to police and fire recruitment only or just generally speaking recruitment efforts. So that may address some of Councilman
Yeah, if you could
Jones'
speak to them directly,
concerns.
that'd be good, because those are the ones I want to hear about. Of the fire department as well as the police department. Right now, we've looked at 30-some years, Mr. Chairman, to the distinguished gentleman, where these departments do not look like the citizens in which they go out to represent. So we have been as low as 10% and 12% and sometimes 9% in these departments in terms of minorities being able to be hired. And one of the things, as I sit here, I represent a generation of Negroes who are prideful about their neighborhoods and communities, and they want to make sure that they have good jobs, a fair shake, a good education. And one of the things is we often see the people who are policing us and the people who are firefighters do not look like us. And we want to know why that is, and it sounds like the director's saying that over the course of time it's just have not been able to reach that for some reason. And now we have you, and you're gonna give me some good stuff, right?
Through the chair.
I hear
Make it
you.
green.
You can take it off, make it green, push it one time. There he is,
Well,
and
through
then
the chair to the council person.
Yes.
So we are actually recruiting, and there has been an influx of diversity in.
Has it been black people?
It has.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've been to any of our
I
accelerated
haven't.
hiring events.
I would love to
Councilman, let him answer.
No, I haven't.
encourage you
He's
to come.
talking to me, Mr.
I
Please.
encourage you to come.
Through the
and-
chair.
And you'll see what you're looking for at our hiring events. So what happens is sometimes they don't make it through some of the testing. So because of that, we do have practice testing. We do have our recruiting, our public safety recruiting. They do have Tuesdays and Saturday sessions where we encourage them to come out so that we are trying to prepare everyone to pass all the requirements to make it over to the next level. So we are inviting them to come out, and it's up to them to take advantage of all the tools that we're providing them to have. So the next one is coming up in June 25, 26, and 27. And you'll see there is an influx of minorities out. So it's up to them to take the necessary precautions to make it.
How are we doing recruiting, Mr. Chairman?
So
how do we do that
are-
recruitment?
So through the chair to the council person. So recruiting, we are definitely going out publicly. We are using social media platforms. We're using every tool that we have, throwing at it to make sure that we're recruiting and reaching all the masses. So you'll see us at schools. You'll see us everywhere to reach everyone out. So we're in the communities, definitely.
I would like to do a recruitment in my area. Can we work together, Mr. Chairman, to the Human Resource Department Director, to do a recruitment over in Ward 1? And I'd like to, you employ all of your magic in terms of how do you get the word out? And then I'm going to put a mailer out to all of my people in the neighborhood as well as all the businesses. We did that once before. We had like 15 applicants for the firefighter piece. One of those applicants was, had passed all the tests with the exception of the psychology part of it. And we talked about that to some great extent here, how they had to make him go back, because he didn't pass their muster test or whatever the recruitment, off list is. So I know you have all those things that they have to pass or they have to go through. And so a lot of our applicants, our African-American applicants who are really qualified, you checked off on areas where you felt that they shouldn't be. One of them was psychological. And so some of those people had to go back, Mr. Chairman, to the director to go and, with their own expense, in order to fight it. And I just thought that that was crazy. And another situation, Mr. Chairman, to the director talking about civil service exams, was the police officer who was excluded because he had a police report. It wasn't a police report, it was something that was miscellaneous on the police report, Mr. Chairman. There was never any trial, there was never any convictions, but just because his name showed up that he was in a bar fight and potentially may have had a gun, he was disqualified from being a police officer. And so I had to then go to the safety director at the time, Commander Mike McGrath, which Mike, he was a great director, and he relooked at those things, Mr. Chairman, and he
Councilman,
dealt with them. And so what
Can
I'm
you wrap
sharing,
up? You had 21 minutes.
I got you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, because this is important,
I got you.
because it's been 30 years. So it's been 30 years that we have sat here and we have not seen African Americans hired in our police department or our fire department that represents the people who represent the city of Cleveland in terms of population. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you giving me 21 minutes or whatever. We need a whole hour to beat the hell out the table to come to some resolution as relates to how we deal with this issue. So I'm glad that you're going to have that second piece.
Yes.
But I'm concerned about the fact that we just seem not to be able to bring African Americans into those zones. And that's a problem for me, and it's a problem for the people I represent, because they're saying we got enough folks here. We don't see why we can't get our kids into these departments and being able to work as these locations. So I don't know what the future generation is, but I appreciate the recruitment. I really appreciate what the union does, not the union, but these different departments do in terms of hiring our folks. I've said it to the director at the table. I'm a supportive person. I would like to see the time shortened in terms of hiring more people in. And I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, maybe we need to really investigate and look at the civil service piece a little bit more deeper, and then maybe talk about some recommendations, because Mrs. Long has already said a lot of changes need to be changed. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't looked at, and I think that maybe technically speaking, we need to really look at some of that, because maybe some of that is the reasons why we don't have the people in here that represent the city of Cleveland. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you, Human Resources and Civil Service, for this overview today and coming to this hearing to break down, obviously, the differences, the ways you collaborate in partnership. We look forward to working with you all through the Workforce Education, Training, Youth Development Committee, where we can be able to align together, to be able to work together in collaborations. So thank you all. Thank you to the staff for coming to a hearing. We love to have you all here to understand some of our questions. And I will say the committee is adjourned to the next meeting, which will be in the fall. Check your calendars.